People think natural leaders are born confident. Psychology completely disagrees. Some of the most effective and respected people on this planet spent years feeling like the last person anyone would ever follow. So why do they end up at the front anyway? That answer will surprise you. We live in a culture that celebrates the loudest voice, the boldest personality, the one who walks into a room and immediately commands attention, the one who never seems to question themselves for a single second. But here is what psychology has quietly uncovered. The people who naturally become leaders are often not the ones performing leadership. They are wired differently. They think differently, listen differently, and carry responsibility differently. And science is starting to explain exactly why. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the hidden psychology of people who naturally become leaders, what drives it, what it reveals, and why most of us have been misreading it our entire lives. Think about the first time someone turned to you to make a decision. You were probably not ready for it. Maybe it was a group project that was falling apart. Maybe it was a moment of crisis where everyone else froze. Maybe you simply saw what needed to be done and moved toward it without thinking. And the reaction you got from the people around you was something you did not expect. They followed you. And the fact that it felt like responsibility, not power, is the first sign of something deeper. From a very early age, certain people develop what psychologists call a pro-social orientation, a genuine, almost automatic concern for the well-being of the group over their own comfort, not because they were taught to lead, but because something in them could not ignore what everyone else was willing to walk past. Quick pause. I recently launched this channel to explore human psychology, behavior, and the hidden mechanisms behind social interactions. We're still at the very beginning, so every subscription really means a lot. If this kind of content helps you better understand people and the way the human mind works, consider subscribing. It really helps me continue and create even more in-depth videos. Thank you, and let's continue. Some people hear that pull clearly from childhood. Others only recognize it in hindsight, but the pattern is the same regardless of when it shows up. They do not wait for permission or a title. They move headfirst toward the problem because staying idle while things go wrong is simply impossible for them. Their nervous system will not allow it. That is not ambition. That is wiring. 1. Their confidence does not come from certainty. It comes from commitment. Most people think leadership requires knowing the answer before everyone else. That the natural leader is the person in the room who is never wrong, never rattled, never visibly unsure. But that is not what psychological research actually shows. Studies on leadership effectiveness consistently find that the most trusted leaders are not the ones who project infallibility. They are the ones who communicate commitment, who make it clear that no matter what happens, they will not abandon the people counting on them. Dr. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability and leadership found that the leaders people trust most are not the ones who appear invulnerable. They are the ones who are honest about uncertainty while staying firm in their direction. People who naturally become leaders have internalized something that most people spend entire careers trying to learn. You do not need to know everything. You need to be the person who keeps moving when no one else will. And because of that, they often become the anchor in situations that feel like they are spinning out of control, not because they have all the answers, but because their presence signals that the situation can be gotten through. This is not bravado. It is not performance. It is something quieter and far more durable, a deep, almost unstoppable commitment to seeing things through. 2, they listen in a way that makes people feel truly understood. Here is a misunderstanding that follows natural leaders everywhere. People assume they are always talking. They picture someone impossible to ignore, filling every silence, driving every conversation, pulling all the oxygen out of the room with the sheer force of their personality. But some of the most effective effective leaders in psychological research are described by the people around them in a completely different way. They make you feel like you are the only person in the room. Research on what psychologists call transformational leadership consistently identifies one behavior above all others as the strongest predictor of genuine influence. Not charisma, not decisiveness, not even vision. Listening, not the kind where someone listens with one ear and nods at the right moments while already formulating their response. I am talking about the moment when the other person can actually feel that what they are saying is landing somewhere real. People who naturally become leaders developed this capacity not through training, but through a genuinely authentic curiosity about other people. They actually want to know what someone is thinking. They genuinely find other people's perspectives interesting. And because of that, the people around them feel seen in a way that creates a particular kind of loyalty that no authority structure can manufacture. When they speak, people listen, not because they demand it, but because they have already shown they know how to listen first. 3, they are comfortable making decisions with incomplete information. This is the part that most people find genuinely difficult to understand about natural leaders, because most people wait. They gather more data, they consult more people, they delay committing until the situation is clear enough to feel safe making a call. Natural leaders have a different relationship with uncertainty, not because they enjoy risk, but because they understand at a level that has become almost instinctive that in most real situations, the perfect moment to decide never arrives, and that waiting often costs more than deciding would have. Psychologists who study decision-making under pressure have identified what they call action orientation as one of the most consistent traits among effective leaders. The ability to make decisions quickly while remaining genuinely open to different perspectives that allow them to adjust course when needed. This is not recklessness. This is not stubbornness. People who naturally become leaders are not attached to being right at all costs. They simply want to keep moving. They have made decisions that turned out to be wrong. They adjusted. They moved on without falling into a spiral of second guessing. And that cycle, deciding, learning, adjusting, and deciding again, repeated enough times, builds a quiet self-assurance that those still waiting for certainty before acting never really get the chance to develop. Stop here, because before we go further, something needs to be said. If you have spent years watching other people step into leadership roles while telling yourself you are not that type of person, I want you to consider something. The qualities that most represent natural leadership are not the ones the world celebrates loudest. Not fame, not a title, not dominance, and not having everything figured out. It is depth, steadiness, a sincere and genuine care for the people around you, and the courage to move toward difficulty even when every part of you would rather wait. You may have been leading for years without ever calling it that. Stay with me. 4, they take responsibility in a way that most people instinctively avoid. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes with this. Because when something goes wrong and a natural leader steps forward to own it, they do not get applause for it. They get the weight of it, the scrutiny, the second guessing from people who were nowhere near the decision when it was made. Most people run from accountability when things go wrong. They explain, they contextualize, they spread the blame carefully enough that none of it lands too heavily on any one person, especially themselves. Natural leaders move toward it not because they enjoy it, not because they are immune to the discomfort of being wrong in public, but because they understand something that takes most people decades to learn. Trust is not built in the moments when everything goes right. It is built in the moments when everything goes wrong and someone stands up and says, "This was my call, and here is what we are going to do next." Psychologists who study organizational trust have found that a leader's response to failure is a significantly stronger predictor of team loyalty than their response to success. People can follow someone through a mistake. What they cannot do is watch that person refuse to own it. Natural leaders have felt the full weight of accountability and kept moving. That pattern, repeated over time, builds something in the people around them that no amount of competence alone ever could. The belief that when things get hard, this person will not disappear. 5. What natural leadership actually builds in a person over time? It does not arrive as a transformation. It arrives as a quiet shift in how a room feels when you walk into it. Not because you demanded anything, but because something in the way you move through difficulty has started to register in the people around you without them being able to fully explain why. You stop needing a title to feel the responsibility. You put the group's well-being first, not because someone asked you to, but because looking away from it is no longer something you are capable of. Your relationships develop a different quality. People come to you not just when things are going well, but when they are falling apart. Not because you have all the answers, but because your presence makes the falling apart feel more survivable. Your decisions carry a different weight, not heavier in the sense of burden, but more grounded, more considered, because they come from a genuine reckoning with what the situation actually needs rather than what would be easiest or safest for you personally. And you develop something increasingly rare in a world that rewards performance above almost everything else. A real, unguarded connection to the people you are responsible for. You have not protected yourself from caring too much. You have not maintained a professional distance that lets you stay comfortable while the people around you struggle. You are still fully in it. The wins, the losses, the quiet moments where someone needed something and you showed up without being asked. This is not a management style. This is not a leadership technique. It looks like a person who stopped waiting to be given permission to matter to the people around them. For a very long time, people who naturally become leaders have been misread for most of their lives, told they take on too much, that they care about too many things, that they need to stop trying to fix everything and focus on themselves for once. But psychology tells a different story. Naturally becoming a leader often means your empathy is structural, not situational. It means your tolerance for uncertainty is higher than most people's tolerance for certainty. It means your sense of responsibility operates at a depth that most people only access in their most serious moments, and you run there as your baseline. It means you are still, despite everything this culture does to reward self-interest, genuinely oriented toward something larger than yourself. That is not a burden to manage. That is something to understand. If this video changed the way you see the leaders already around you, even just a little, subscribe for more psychology insights that challenge what most of us think we already know. And tell me in the comments, do you think natural leadership is something you are born with or something that gets built through the experiences life puts you through? I will see you in the comments. See you soon.